Jaime Diaz. Trip Eisenhower here with you. We are here at one of my favorite tournaments, of course, the Arnold Palmer Invitational, presented by MasterCard. Well, got to put that in there. Yeah. It is, so many things about the King. We miss him. It's been a couple of years now. And this will be, I think, the third iteration of this tournament without Mr. Palmer there to hand the trophy out. And they went to the red sweater a couple of years ago. But so many of those things. And his golf course, Bay Hill, we kind of want to talk about Palmer. We can talk about Palmer stories.
You got so many stories, Trip. Why don't you start?
Well, I was very fortunate. My granddad decided to winter in Orlando, Florida in the late 60s, early 70s. And he chose Bay Hill as his home. So he had a home there. He bought the home in 1974. And I would always come down at periodic times when I was a kid and play Bay Hill. Used to play the Charger 9 over there because that was the one they let kids and play on. And it was just good memories. And my biggest memory I met Mr. Palmer several times. But my biggest memory of him at Bay Hill, and what was a lasting impression, was we were going to play 27 holes that day. Okay, so we play the front 9, and 9 comes right by the range.
Right.
Well, when we come down number 9, Mr. Palmer's back there with his Cadillac on the back tee with the trunk open.
He owns the place, yeah.
And he was hitting balls.
Yeah.
And we went, we played the back 9. We came in, had lunch. I looked back there on the back of the range. Cadillac's still there. Palmer's still hitting balls.
Yeah.
We go, after lunch, back out, play the Charger 9. Palmer's still there hitting balls.
Oh, my gosh.
I was like, wow.
What year do you think this was?
This was 1978.
Wow. And he really wasn't playing competitively on the tour.
He just loved it.
Yeah,
he loved the game of golf.
That is as good a capsule
of
what he's all about.
Exactly.
And I think, too, people forget what a great player he was sometimes. Obviously, he's in the Hall of Fame, and people think of Arnold Palmer as, iconic with the finish and everything. But, God, he was winning tournaments at such a clip there from 1959 through 62, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, he, unless Jack comes around, Arnold is truly the king competitively as well.
Yes.
And, that was a wound that he handled very gracefully.
He did.
But it was hard.
They didn't like each other, though, when they were competing.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. I mean, when you're the two best, and really Palmer kind of, especially when Nicklaus did what he did at Oakmont.
Right.
That was hard. That was kind of a slap in the face.
Home
to
turf
Arnold.
In Pittsburgh.
Home turf, and Jack came along and did that. That was a little bit, but here's the thing: they all evolved. Like Tiger and Phil, they did not like each other in their primes. But they're friends now. I mean, they get along.
It evolved,
and they evolved into being very good friends. Speaking of Jack and Arnie,
and they also had the same manager for a while with McCormick, so they did a lot of things together. And I've read the biographies, and they always nothing but the highest respect for how they treated each other. Yeah. At least, and sure, the competitiveness was there. When you say they don't like each other, I think they obviously still respected each other a lot. It was chillier between Tiger and Phil, I think.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with that. But that was a sign of the times. When Nicklaus and Palmer,
there was more
of a gentlemanly, atmosphere. Not that there's not now, but more of one then.
Absolutely, and I think Arnold just had that gift with people, as you were alluding to. And gosh, I even saw it when I was like 7 years old.
Yeah, you got his autograph at 7, right?
I was at at Harding Park, 1961, Lucky International. I didn't have the date in my head, but I kind of looked it up, and I was there with my uncle, and I hadn't been to a golf tournament before, and we went right to Arnold Palmer. My uncle loved Arnold Palmer, of course, and I remember I do remember dust coming up when he had driver, and he teed it so low, right? And he just hit this little burner,
hard hook,
hard as heck.
It was a nice tight draw.
You saw it all, yeah. But my uncle actually ran out there and got the broken tee, and I had that broken tee for about 20 years, and I lost it. But after the round, he said, "Hey, go get his autograph." And I'd never gotten an autograph, didn't really know exactly what it was. So I ran up to him and I said, "Mr. Palmer, just ask him could I have an autograph?" And he goes, "Sure, son." And he looks down. I got nothing. I got no paper. I got no pen. I got nothing. And he goes, "What do you want me to sign?" And I said, "I just would like an autograph." I was an idiot. So my uncle, thinking fast, he didn't have any paper. He pulled out a checkbook. And he tore out a check and he gave it to Arnold Palmer to sign. And he looked at it. He goes, "Oh, blank check. I could do something with this." He kind of played it out. You know, he made contact with my uncle and with me.
Right.
And I had that for about 20 years. I don't know what happened. I feel terrible about that. But anyway, you know, just an early touch. Early sign of the touch that he had with people.
I guarantee you that signature looks like every signature.
Oh no, it was. I do remember. It was very neat. It was like it looked like he stamped it on.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was really.
Exactly.
And he always, you know, was a stickler for that with
Yeah.
the younger players. And then, you know, I saw him at Olympic Club in '66.
Right.
Now we didn't actually see the round. We were driving. My dad and I were driving on the freeway, and he said, "Arnold Palmer's a 7-stroke lead with 9 holes to go," and we were kind of near Olympic.
Yeah.
And my dad said, you know, "Let's go there. By the time we get there, there won't be any guards. They'll be," and we drove right in.
Yeah.
But we looked at the scoreboard and it was Casper Palmer tied. It was like impossible. How could that have
Impossible.
happened?
How could that have happened
And then
with that
Arnold
lead?
walks by. I think he just left the press room. He had a couple of police guards with him and he looked grim.
Yeah.
He wasn't, you know, mad. He just looked kind of stricken. And yeah, he lost the next
Yeah.
day, even though he led in the. So my memories of Arnold in many ways are tragic because of that.
Well-
and I caught him at the time of his career, you know, the Pecan Valley, you know, Boris nipped him, and then Southern Hills, Dave Stockton nipped him. These were in PGAs. And then at the U.S. Open, you know, at Pebble, he was right there with Nicklaus, and
Yeah.
Nicklaus took it away in '72, and '73 was right there, and Miller took it away.
Yeah.
It was always Arnold falling just short, and I was rooting for
Yeah.
him the whole time. But anyway, he, of course.
Well, and the other thing, two things that I'll wrap up with is personally. One is when I turned pro, I went to his office and asked for advice.
Yes.
And he was very cordial
Oh, great,
and,
yeah.
and welcomed me in. Said, "Tripp, Payne Stewart was sitting in that chair a couple of years ago."
Uh-huh.
And he said, "I'm going to tell you the same thing I told him." And I go back to that advice now, and I wish I would have listened to it more.
Wow.
And I'll tell you what the advice is.
Yes,
okay?
thank
This
you,
is
yeah.
the advice. Mr. Palmer said, "Tripp, there's one thing you're going to need besides being a fantastic putter.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to putt to play the PGA Tour." And he said, "You have to have a go-to shot." He said, I don't care if it's a 50-yard slice,
Yeah.
80-yard
Something
hook,
that'll get you.
something that you can hit when you have a gun to your head and you need to do it. You
Yeah.
have to. And he said, "I'm not going to tell you what that is, but you have to have that." Now, Palmer's was aimed down that right-hand
Yeah,
side
and a draw.
hit a hard draw
Yeah.
low, like you said.
Yeah.
But that was his go-to shot, and he said that's the one you have to practice. He said everything else is just is stuff, but you've got to practice that one shot, and you've got to have it. And you know what? That's sage advice. It
God,
really
and
is.
you don't hear it enough.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't.
You hear about guys trying to optimize
I
it
know,
on TrackMan,
yeah,
but it's
exactly.
like, I don't know what the spin rate on
Just
that
get a
is. I
shot.
just know I can get it in the
Yeah.
fairway.
And lastly, just
Yeah.
what he's done for this community in Orlando.
Yes.
The hospital, the Winnie Palmer Hospital, my child was born and went into the neonatal intensive care unit.
Wow.
Luckily, right there, and saved his life. It was one
Holy
of the
cow.
best neonatal intensive care units in the world. And it's because of that, man. So
Yeah,
very
and-
generous.
And that tournament raises money for that
Absolutely.
hospital.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'll just
So-
say very quickly, you know, I've had some nice, as a journalist, a lot of nice moments
Oh, I'm
with
sure
him.
you have, yeah.
Played with him once.
Yeah.
That was a choke fest on my part, but he couldn't have been more gracious and
Yeah.
helped me through it. And I remember interviewing him several times, but one time I asked him about his mom. Because everybody always talked about Deacon,
Deacon,
and obviously he was the role model and he was the guy who got him into golf. But Arnold had that charm. That Deacon was kind of a severe guy by most
yeah,
accounts.
yeah.
You know, he was tough love, and he didn't give a lot
Western
of
Pennsylvania.
didn't give a lot of approval to Arnold.
Yeah.
And in fact, Arnold said the only time he actually said he did a good job was when he won the U.S. Amateur in '54.
There you go.
You know, it took a lot to prove something to his dad.
Right.
But his mom was always the opposite, and very encouraging and very charming and very gracious with other people.
Yeah.
And he borrowed that, or at least he
did.
inherited that.
Yeah.
That quality. And I think in some ways she's the most important mom in the history of golf because
She is.
Arnold's gift was that.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
Well, he keeps giving even though he's no longer with us, and he's the king for a reason. He's Jaime, I'm Tripp.